Hello and welcome back to the channel. Spiritual Mind, Nicole, Brandy Nicole here, back with another video. I wanted to do another spiritual symbolism video, and I feel like this one is timely because by the time you're watching this video, I will have energetically transitioned and gotten some energetic work done. So what I mean is, I know, and I've known for months off and on, that the plan was going to be to cut my locks, and there is a lot of spiritual significance to cutting our hair. So I thought, it could be a really good idea to talk through the spiritual benefits of, or the spiritual relationship we have with our hair. There's a specific spiritual relationship that folks have with locks because it's something that implies a journey with more emotional pieces to it than maybe just general hair in some ways, especially if we haven't had locks the whole of our existence. Some people get locks in adulthood, but for folks who have always had their hair in locks, it can be a little bit more of like a general experience with your hair of like, it's either short, long, or styled left, right, up, down, whichever. But I wanted to share this video because, one, I can honor the length of my hair. It's very long. It's boob length, if that's a thing, or I think mid-back. I'll take off my mid-back. So not too far from my, I think waist length is probably correct. And I actually cut off about 3 inches just because it was hurting my neck. So I cut off 3 inches maybe a few months back just because it was hurting my neck. But I think even then I knew I wanted to actually cut my hair more significantly than just the 3 inches. So I am going to be going to see my sister, who actually started my locks like 8 years ago, I believe. And today I am going to get a haircut, and I'll make sure to share the after I get the haircut. So I'll put in some video, or maybe I'll have that be my closing of our conversation today, is with the haircut and all that. But what I want to talk about is just the spiritual symbolism of cutting our hair, what it means, and the significance. So generally there's a couple different versions of what people understand spiritually with hair cutting. So some people will say, oh, don't cut your hair, because spiritually there's a lot of history, a lot of energy, a lot of protection and divinity tied to one's hair. Like, I believe there's some spiritual and religious references to like a woman in their hair, or I think in some religions or belief systems, it's just a person in their hair. Their relationship to their hair has meaning in different religious communities. So there's definitely that of, not cutting your hair. And then there's the other side that I personally have always related to a bit more, which is cutting your hair is also spiritually significant. And I've actually gone through, if I can find pictures, I'll insert them, but I've gone through at least 1, 2, 3 specific times where I've cut my hair. And I think it's usually right at the point of a transition in my life. The first time I cut my hair pretty short, 4 actually. The first time I cut my hair pretty short, it was when I was graduating from high school, which was a very interesting time in my life of understanding freedom and understanding my identity of becoming a young woman versus being a child, a young lady, so I remember a lot of my haircutting, what that was about at that time was really about the transition into adulthood for me and experiencing freedom. So I'm going to talk more specifically about all of the markers of what getting your haircut means, or having your haircut or cutting your hair means. But one of them for me certainly before was freedom, the expression and feeling of freedom and lightness. As a person, generally, I grow my hair really long and then I cut it. And it seems like I tend to feel this internal pressure to do so. And I don't think it's just impulse. I think there's like a spiritual calling of my life transitioning in some way that usually propels me to do this spiritual kind of practice of cutting my hair. So the second time I cut my hair really short that I can think of, I think I had just had I was gonna have my second child. So that was significant. I had my second son, and I cut my hair at that time. I also remember cutting my hair significantly when I went on the natural hair journey, but there's a twist. So I also had my family relocate to California from Portland when we were familiar with being from Portland. So a whole lifestyle shift and a whole transition of identity kind of existed at that time as well. And then I think once when I was in California, I cut my hair again, but I think that was just like a transition of like some things I wanted in my business and simplicity and just adjusting to like a full plate, full life. So those are the times that I remember. I feel like there was one other time that I can't quite place. Don't remember. But most of the time, I think every time I've actually gone and done like a big chop, there's been some spiritual element or energetic spiritual element that has propelled me in that direction. So when I kind of look at all of these different examples of my own experience with spiritual haircutting, I realize that there's some key elements that come up consistently. And I found just generally a lot of other folks can relate to this too. So here's what I've noticed as some key factors of spiritual haircutting or cutting your hair spiritually. So there may be some spiritual change, some spiritual advancement, some spiritual transition happening, energetic transition happening, something within that's telling you that your identity is shifting in some way, some important way. So for me, spiritually, I feel like I can't not do it. So that's how I kind of understand it, spiritually speaking. And it's not like because some folks will say, oh, well, people cut their hair all the time when they're feeling depressed or manic, but I'm not feeling depressed or manic. I just feel an emotional pressure of sorts. Like I need to cut my hair to release something that is just ready to be released. So here's some specific pieces of symbolism that I found just from kind of reviewing my own experience with spiritual haircutting. So one thing is going to be growth, feeling of either obtaining growth or ascending into the experience of growth, inviting and allowing or accepting new experience, new understanding, new insight, new awareness, new enlightenment. Peace is another thing that haircutting can provide, spiritually speaking, to let go, because the act of having our hair means we're doing all these cool things with it. We have to like attend it. So there can be peace from letting go and returning back to self, because as that one song by India.Arie says, we are not our hair. So when we release the relationship with our hair, we can focus then more on the relationship with ourselves. Ideally, I mean, I guess it depends on like the reasons we're moving forward with that practice, right? There's also expression. Maybe, at least for me, whenever I get into this place of cutting my hair, is that I feel like my hair no longer expresses how I feel internally. So then I want to align and attune with my internal spiritual self, and usually that's a form of what I'm emoting or feeling inside, not necessarily matching what I see in the mirror. So I want to attune and feel more congruence. So just kind of again, give the word, but like infusing more with my highest self and what my highest self is feeling. And when I look in the mirror, I may not see it. Feelings are interesting that way, and I think it's kind of a personal thing to determine if your reflection matches how you feel. So no one can really tell you that stuff. I think it's an internal process, we'll say. Also change. So hair, spiritual haircutting implies change of action, change of behavior. Cutting your hair alone does not change your life and experiences, but in some ways it starts that process, or can be a part of it, we'll say, because ultimately if you change your hair, your practice with your hair might be different, which means you might be spending time different, you might be spending energy different, you might see something different, and maybe that extends beyond the haircut. There's also emotional resolution, which can be happening as well, where you feel emotional closure of a sort, of letting go of things that needed to be released, and that can be very soothing. So there can be some emotional resolution that comes in from cutting one's hair. There can also be mourning or grief. So sometimes a part of why one would spiritually cut their hair could be regarding grief and mourning, and being in a state of grief and mourning. And that could be when you're experiencing a breakup or heartbreak of some sort. It doesn't have to be like in a partnership, but it could be regarding family or friends and having experience of heartbreak. So for mourning and grief, hair cutting or spiritual hair cutting can also occur, and that can be just allowing the process of grief to be experienced while also seeking relief or release as well. So release is also, one of the key or most dominant pieces of what happens with spiritual haircutting. Also, just energy lightness, lightening your energy and kind of resetting your energy, resetting the time continuum of things, because in a way, one action can create more actions of a different sort, as long as that's what you're kind of leaving space for. But if you get your hair cut expecting your world to change without creating any other action, it will just be a haircut, right? So also there's some other pieces to this. So there's a lot of spiritual elements, but there's also some other pieces. So for me, my hair is not heavy, but here's the other practical piece. My hair isn't heavy, but with my hair being this long, I feel like there's some style limits, and I'm actually going through some changes with like the season of life I'm in. I have gray hair, you see? So I feel like what I want to do is to allow my gray hair to exist comfortably. So I feel like if I have shorter hair, I'm gonna be able to grow into my gray in a way that feels more consistent than, having gray up here and then here and then black down here. So I kind of want to phase into the gray hair vibes. So that's one reason I'm going to be cutting my hair. Another reason is because I'm probably going to grow out my bangs just so I can highlight the grays, because they can be so cute if I let them. So there's some reasons that I'm practically also wanting to cut my hair. But if you look at that from different perspectives, I'm actually embracing my aging process, right? I'm actually accentuating this part of my life instead of reaching for another box of dye. And that's just me, because I have reached for that box of dye, which is a whole nother story. But I just want to share some basics of what it means to spiritually cut your hair, and like, what is it that you are doing? Why are you doing it? So for me, there's some practical reasons, certainly. I also like the idea of versatile hair, because my hair is so long and more on the heavier side, because my hair is thick. I can't do like a cute ponytail or a bun. I can't even do a high ponytail really, because the tension of all this heavy hair says no thanks. So I could do a low ponytail or pull my hair back, but I actually would like to have more fun with my hair. I'm in a season of enjoying the age I'm at, and I like the idea of having more fun and versatility with my hair, and just like saving time. Really, it sounds good to me. And just, yeah, getting to reset energy. So these are the things that symbolically stand out as significant for spiritual hair cutting. I have enlisted my sister to cut my hair, and I can't wait to do the reveal for myself. And also, like, you know, some of my ends are a little bit worn. So, you know, if you got split ends, hair cutting can be a great answer, as well as, you know, taking really good care of your hair. But locks are a little bit different, where it's not just about if you take care of your hair, it's just sometimes your hair will thin out in the process of being locked a little bit. I was gonna try and find one where it's just holding on barely, but most of my hair actually was okay, since I took off the 3 extra inches and I got a lot of the split ends and stuff accounted for. So most of my hair is pretty healthy. But here's one. Look at this guy. It's got very little left to offer. So when I cut it, I can let it go, and peace be with it, all the journeys and good stuff it has given to me, all the comfort. So the thing for me is that I tend to go back to long hair and grow it out all over again, just because I actually like long hair, and it's comforting for me personally to have long hair. You know, my hair starts to feel like a blanket of sorts, and I like that. I find that to be very comforting. So I will likely grow it out again. I will likely continue to have locks, but I think I'm just ready to let go with gratitude and love. And so I am going to go and see my sister tonight. I'm very excited. And yeah, the other thing I would say, of course, that's really important to acknowledge here is just the spiritual symbolism for any of us going through the process of spiritual hair cutting, is to look into yourself and figure out what is it that is being born from, you know, allowing your hair cutting to occur. And that is an energetic transition. Our hair is said to hold lots of energy, and history, which holds lots of energy too, and lots of life. So what's being born, what's being revealed, what's being held space for? Like, what is this? What are you opening space for in your life? Is it for more peace, more success, more fun, more honor of where you are in life? Like, to think about it in that way can be really helpful. So if you feel spiritually led to cut your hair, really try and tap into what is this haircut giving you that you're not necessarily feeling emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. What are you getting? And I think, you know, when I kind of sit with that, it's just like that fresh start of being one and feeling attuned in oneness. There we go. With oneness. Sorry, trying to get my words out. So I just am delighted and excited and looking forward to it. And I just wanted to share this video in real time because I think it's a good thing to talk about. I've been through at least 4 big chops, we'll call it, and I'm getting ready to go and get my hair cut, and I'm looking forward to being in the journey of oneness. So I will come back after I get my hair cut, either tonight or tomorrow, just to share how I feel after. But right now, I feel hopeful, I feel happy, I feel at peace, I feel closure, I feel emotional, which is normal. So I could probably cry at the drop of a hat. Honestly, I'm probably tearing up a little right now. But I feel good. It's like a good, you know, a good cry, I guess, or that feeling of peace and release, and just kind of feeling that oneness coming back in. So I'm super excited, and I look forward to seeing how I feel after. But also, I think because I am talking about the spirituality of hair cutting, something I might do before I go get my hair cut is just to journal and maybe focus in a little bit on what gratitudes I have for my hair and the 7 or 8 year journey so far, and just maybe really give that space to be honored, so that way I feel like I am not out of sync. So sometimes we can rush through things impulsively and then we have regret later. But I do think if we really take the time to like connect and process, then we stay on time. So I think I'll probably journal just to make sure that there's no emotional hurdles that I would otherwise miss. And I will be back in a bit, either today or tomorrow, to share the after a little bit. And all right, I'll see you soon. Hello, I am back. I am fresh from a visit to see my sister where she cut my hair. And I like it. I actually love it. It is light, it is playful, it is cute, and I can still have enough hair to do like the cute little pigtails for, when I'm working out and I want to look kind of snazzy. Also, I'm growing out my bangs, so this is kind of a better look for that goal. If I want to keep the bangs though, it's still really cute this way, yeah. So I like it. I love it, actually. I think it looks great. Can accentuate the earrings if I want to. And it just looks finished. And it's got good movement. So I've gotten my hair cut. I feel at peace. I feel at ease. I feel good. And I feel like this was the right thing for me. Yeah, I think this is what I was needing. I'm working on a lot of other things right now, but for me, I feel open and lighter. So as it has happened before for me, I feel that feeling of returning to oneness. I feel good with this. So I hope that this episode of Spiritual Symbolism has been helpful. I infuse a bit more of my in real-time experience with spiritual symbolism and experience of spiritual symbolism, so hopefully that was enjoyable. Let me know in the comments below, have you ever had a spiritual haircutting experience? Have you ever cut your hair for spiritual reasons? How did you feel after? How did you feel before? Tell me all about it in the comments below. Take great care of yourself, and it's just a great time to like be in a space of more oneness. I think we're all really kind of craving that, even if we don't realize it. Sometimes we think we're craving something out there, when in fact we're craving more oneness with ourselves and with our higher power, with our highest self. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you've made it to the end, please leave a little heart emoji. I'd love to thank you personally for taking the time to be here with me today. Take great care, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Spiritual in Mind.